Sorry about that, the mic was muted, but we are live. Welcome everyone to the 47th episode of Coaster Time, hosted by me, Carrick from Coaster Hour. And for today, we will be catching up on the announcements that took place since the last stream, which was getting close to about a month ago. So we will be doing that, obviously a huge news topic coming in with the Six Flags and Cedar Fair merger. So I will be talking about that especially, along with several other things. But along with that, we will also be having a few Q&A sessions, one here toward the beginning, one after the news, considering we have obviously the Six Flags and Cedar Fair merger to talk about, and one towards the end, along with a few other segments, including Coaster Hangman, which is going to be replacing the quiz for today, made by Frontier Coasters. Thanks to them for creating that. And then along with that, I will be also doing Buy or Sell and Guess the Coaster. So should be a loaded stream as always. And that's going to be the plan today. So a lot to go into. And with that being said, I'll open it up into first Q&A. I answered some questions relating to this in the previous stream, but for anyone who hasn't asked any questions related to it, I did go to Universal, SeaWorld, and Fun Spot in September, so the two fun spots in Orlando. So if you have any questions related to that, you can ask it. Also, anything news related or otherwise can also be asked. But I'm opening it up to first Q&A. Notifications appear to be getting out a little slow, so this is probably Q&A. The first one I don't plan to do for too long, just because we're going to be having three Q&As. The second one being after the news portion, since I do have to cover the Six Flags stuff. But first Q&A, ask about anything you want. Like I said, I have this here in case you have any questions about some of the things I did in Orlando. If you didn't ask it in the last stream, but ask about anything, that's going to be what we have there. And like I said, also can be news related. And honestly, heading into this week, it kind of looked like I was planning to do this stream, and I was like, doesn't really look like there's any big news items, or super huge ones, I should say. Then, of course, we had, the biggest thing that happened in ever, really, one of the biggest things to ever happen in the theme park industry, which really shook that up. So, we'll be talking about that, of course. I have a lot of details there, so I want to get a lot of clarification on that merger. I've accumulated as much info as I could over the past few days. And I'll actually have a list when we get there in terms of going into details and whatnot once we get to that portion of the stream. So, like I said, any Q&A you have, let me know in the chat. And I'll be answering those right away whenever they come in. So that's going to be the plan there. And looks like a few more people, the notifications are starting to get out. It's kind of trickles out that way. But guess I should also mention that for the future, I will be doing an IAPA Q&A, or not Q&A, stream following the conclusion of IAPA, which will be in about 2 weeks. I do have some pre-IAPA news that I'll mention during the news segment, just to kind of get up to speed. Even I found the whole list of press conferences that it's going to be that are going to be happening. So that's pretty nice. Looks like it's going to be a pretty loaded year. Pretty excited for that. Considered actually going in person this year. That's not happening this year, but very likely in the future. But looks like it will be a very exciting event as well. So wanted to mention that. So kind of this week, even outside of the Six Flags news, there's been quite a bit of things that have come out. So it's been an interesting 1 week for sure. So yeah. But anyways, if anyone has any questions, let me know in the chat. And then we'll answer those. And then in a little bit, we'll be getting to the news. Can be questions about anything. So yeah, Civilian Satellite, welcome to the stream. Happy to see you here. I think the IAPA stream will probably be on the Friday night after that event concludes also, so wanted to mention that. Decided to do this one in the morning because I know certain people, it's harder for them to do it during the evening, even though that one generally, the evening ones usually have better viewership. I'm like, haven't done one in the morning in a little while, so might as well do that. Michael in the chat, hello. So that is the plan for the IAPA streams. So any Q&A you have about anything, 3 p.m. here. Well, I guess I should, Pacific time. It's earlier for me because I usually do these now in the evening. But yeah, actually it's not even morning for me. But it's close enough. So yeah. So anyways, let's see. Any questions? And they can be about anything. I know what the banner has up. Honestly, I'll just take that out just to make it a little more clear. It can be about anything. There we go. Alrighty. So any questions you have about really anything, now is the time to ask. And then in just a few minutes here, I'll be getting into the new segment. So yeah, that is going to be the plan there. I know he's in California though, so Ohio Eastern Time. Don't have much time to hang out, but that's cool. I mean, hey, that's basically this stream. That's mostly why we're what we're here for at this point. So, like that. I mean, it's more like the main point of this sort of episode. So, kind of catching up on it before IAPA happens was kind of what I wanted to do today. But we'll be having a bunch of other segments as well. Favorite ride from the Florida trip. So I went to Universal Orlando, which was the 2 parks there. I went to SeaWorld Orlando and the 2 Fun Spot parks. No Disney parks on this trip, but very likely to visit some, if not all of them next year. So not too big of an issue. No Busch Gardens Tampa either. That I hope to do in the near future as well. So with that being said, Velocicoaster was my favorite ride of the trip pretty easily. One of my favorite coasters I've ever ridden, my number 4 overall. Went into it in the last stream, but it is, I mean, in terms of presentation, from the queue to looking at it from the outside, all the different angles you can view it from, you can tell why people like to photograph it. Or why it's so popular for photography. It is so good in the presentation, but the ride itself is also spectacular. The first half, it does have to warm up a little bit, I will say that, but once it is warmed up, the airtime and the elements there are really fun going through the rock work. The 2 inversions really hit, regardless of how warm the ride is or not, but the airtime hills are better when it is warmed up. So that's pretty good, but make no mistake about it, it's the second half, at least for me, that's really stands out. Pretty much everything from that rolling launch is spectacular. I mean, that rolling launch is fantastic. The top hat is just ridiculous. The 0G stall has some amazing hang time. You have the hills that are off axis that are all really good. And then you have the Mosasaurus roll, which is just ridiculous, especially on the left side of the train. So, and even the last few hills after the Mosasaurus roll are actually really good. Don't sleep on those. Those were actually quite strong. So, overall, the ride was fantastic. Definitely I can see why some people have it as their number 1 coaster, even if it's not mine. I can see why some people rank it as their absolute favorite. In terms of theme, like the whole package, theming, thrills, pretty much everything, presentation, I don't think you can really do any better than Velocicoaster. Front or back row on Velocicoaster, I think I in general prefer the back row, but my best ride was in the front row because that's where I got my night ride on. So I think in general I would take back row, but that front row night ride was magical. So
I would say in general, like I said, prefer the back row, but my best ride was in the front row because it was at night. So, honestly, if you're going for the night ride, and you had to pick between the two, maybe pick the front just because it's like, I mean, it feels it probably is more magical because you get the best view and everything. So that is, it's a little tricky though, because honestly, it's good in both rows, but I prefer, a decent amount of, the airtime moments, especially the top hat in the back row. So, yeah, wanted to say that. I've done Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey at Hollywood, so and I really like it. It was my second favorite ride of the trip, even though I basically have the same thing back here. But yeah, I love that ride. It's still to this day one of my favorite dark rides I've ever done. I thought it might kind of fall off a bit after having done the California Disney parks more recently and being blown away by some of their rides, but no, it is still like top tier. So I think it's a phenomenal ride. Let's see. Hello, Enthusiast Roundtable. Haven't checked out the new episode, but I will definitely make sure to when I have the opportunity. Make sure everyone who hasn't yet, make sure to follow Enthusiast Roundtable on YouTube. Puts out some really good stuff. If you enjoy my streams, especially my guest streams, you'll enjoy the ambassador's content. So thanks for joining. And yeah, I wanted to mention that. Did I make any good network connections with the program that I attended? So, yes, I did go to Skynext. I don't know that I can, I can't go into too much specifics about certain things, because of like NDAs and whatnot, but, yes, I did meet a lot of people there, who I have connected with and keep talking to, mostly attendees, but also, of course, like some of the professionals who were at the event and were speakers. It was a really good event overall. It definitely is like I was saying earlier how I kind of was thinking of going to IAPA this year, but I'm not doing that. I'm probably going to go next year, and that's probably a huge thanks to that. And now I have a better idea of what events I need to go to, and various different tips, and I have more people that I can talk to about various different things as I kind of try to find my way through the industry, as that is something that as of right now that I'm very interested in. So definitely wanted to say that. Actually, also on that topic, I'll probably kind of just mention this before we go on to the new segment, that I actually also just started writing articles for Coaster 101, or have started to as a guest writer, I should say. I have an article on Midnight Flyer, which is the Santa's Village coaster in New Hampshire, following the more details they provided of it. And then I also wrote an article about Visa Coasters, which is the new division for our SBF Visa that I will talk about also during this new segment. So I wanted to mention that as well. Make sure to check those out if you haven't already. I think I did briefly mention that on my Instagram, but I don't think I've mentioned that otherwise. So wanted to mention that here. That's something that I've gotten a little more involved with. So wanted to say that. Just noticed that Coaster Count now considers Deadly Do Right's Rips Off Falls a coaster credit. That is very interesting. I mean, I don't consider it, but the thing is, it does have a dry track segment, kind of like how, what's the ride? Big Timber Log Ride and Enchanted Forest does, which I myself don't even consider that a credit. So if you consider Big Timber Log Ride a credit, I kind of think Dudley Do Right should also count if you do that. That's just my opinion, but I can see the argument for it. But that's just one that I don't consider it. So, but I think there is actually a decent argument for that one. So, I don't hate it. Alrighty. So with that being said, we're going to move on into the news. I'll be having another Q&A session after the news because we have one big topic in particular that we're going to get into, and we're honestly just going to get started straight with that. So that is going to be the plan there. So with that being said, sure everyone has heard this at this point, but Six Flags and Cedar Fair are merging. And I have also included an additional slide just to go through all the details of the various things. I will have to take down the banners here, but here are some details that I have accumulated based off just various different things, going through the transcript, through the presentation, and through different sources. This is about the notable details of this merger that I could find. But anyways, I do have some news for Loch Ness Monster. Just did see that in chat. We'll talk about that in a bit. They did just do an announcement right before the stream, so getting that kind of set up was a little tricky. But anyways, just some details here for the Six Flags and Cedar Fair merger. It is a true merger. It's not like Cedar Fair completely buying out Six Flags and they're like full on taking over or vice versa. It is a true merger. They claim like sort of equal partnership or close to it, though it is worth noting that if you have a Cedar Fair stock, you actually own 51.2% of it, as opposed to Six Flags is 48.8%. So I guess that was worth noting, but like I said, pretty close. You will have 42 parks in total with this new chain, 27 theme parks, 15 water parks, and 9 resort properties. The company name will be Six Flags, though the president and CEO of this new Six Flags is Richard Zimmerman, who is the former Cedar Fair CEO, I suppose. And then Salim Basul, who was the former Six Flags CEO, will be executive chairman of the board. The headquarters for this company will be in Charlotte, North Carolina, which came to a surprise to a lot of people. But that will be where it's located. And the merger is expected to be completed by Q1 of 2024. And integration, this is kind of the big thing. How soon are we maybe going to expect to see changes and some of the sort of different strategies come in and affect the parks? Seems to be expected to begin in 2025 and definitely 2026. Next year is kind of laying the groundwork for getting that to start. Probably not going to see a whole lot of changes that you're going to notice in 2024, and probably even in some part of 2025, because that sort of thing takes time. This was done like sort of in a cost savings move. They're expected to save $120 million in costs over the first 2 years, and that's listed here. And some of the interesting things they mentioned that they want to tap into expanded park access with future season passes, including an option that will include all locations, which I'm sure a lot of enthusiasts are excited about. Will probably be pretty expensive, but for someone like me who has, as of right now, 4 of these parks in their within easy driving distance, this is pretty huge. Definitely love this part of it. They mentioned that they will have a fully optimized Fastlane/Flash Pass program, to be determined what exactly that means or looks like. They claim this would allow for better merch and food offerings, better efficiency, and greater flexibility in new ride additions. I put claims because we'll see how that plays out. The Warner Bros. And Peanuts IPs will remain and continue to be used. And Cedar Fair parks will not be rebranded or renamed. That was something that was like, is that going to happen? No, so you're not going to see Six Flags or Cedar, like Six Flags Cedar Point, or like Kings Island become Six Flags over Ohio, or California's Great America become like Six Flags Great America. You're not going to see that. So I'm that's pretty much, like I said, what I could get in terms of details. So pretty crazy, one of the absolute craziest bits of news. that I've ever seen. Obviously, the merger is expected to be completed by Q1 of 2024. There's still a few hurdles and things that need to go through, that the companies need to go through to make this happen. So, things could theoretically still fall apart, but seems more likely than not that this will indeed happen. And we'll kind of have to see what the impacts are going to be. Probably won't see it next year. It'll probably be more 2025, 2026. So that's going to be interesting. And I imagine that's kind of why I'm doing a Q&A after this. Sure, there's going to be a lot of questions, and probably also buy or sell will be interesting as well. So that's the Six Flags merger. So that is that. And then we have our ride opening. So a little bit of a shorter one here. The Rocco Plane at Knoebels has opened. Chocomonstros in Brazil. This is an SBF Visa Big Air coaster. So spinning cars and hamster wheel has opened. Kid Flash Cosmic Coaster is opening today at Six Flags Fiesta Texas. I have not seen that officially. It has opened to the public yet, but that is happening today. And then Over Georgia has opened for pass holder previews today. It'll officially open tomorrow, so I included it. And then Rocky Top Glider, which is a cloud coaster at Wilderness in the Smokies and Pigeon Forge, has also officially opened as of yesterday. Future ride openings, or future land openings in this case, Zootopia at Shanghai Disneyland will open on December 20th. Sweet Valley at Energylandia will open on April 27th of 2024. And then Fantasy Springs at Tokyo Disney Sea will open on June 6th of 2024. So those are your openings. We also have some ride closures. Rudy's Rapid Transit at Santa's Village in New Hampshire has closed to make way for Midnight Flyer. Revolution and Mardi Gras Hangover at Six Flags Great America have closed. Revolution, in this case, to make way for Sky Striker. Flying Clowns and Teacups at Flamingo Land in the UK have both closed. Those are just family-friendly flat rides. And then Lost River Ride, which is their sort of water attraction, big sort of water attraction. That might be potentially going. There's some work going on there, but it's unclear if it's for demolition or refurb purposes. Uncle Bernie's is confirmed to be closing for good. They did announce. So that is the park in Fort Lauderdale. Angry Birds Land at Thorpe Park. The rides will remain. It's just that area will get rethemed. That closed on Halloween. And then Fairy Tale Brook, which was a scenic boat ride that was an original attraction at Legoland, California, will also close. That is to be replaced by what we will talk about in a little bit. So those are your closures. We also have a few ride sales, or rides that have gone up for sale. Sea Dragon at Fantasy Island in New Jersey has been put up for sale. Will be replaced with a new version, Sea Dragon's Revenge in 2024. That was a Chance Rides pirate ship. And then Orlando Freefall has been put up for sale. It's been listed on the site. Doubt it gets sold, but just worth noting that it was put up. And then future permanent closures, Gold River Adventure at Walibi, Belgium will close in April of 2024 and will be replaced by a Gerstlauer family launch coaster there. So, and that'll be coming in 2025. So that is your permanent closures. In terms of construction updates, I will actually take out this banner. We have a decent bit. Hyperia at Thorpe Park has gone vertical. Some crazy shots of the new elements being put up. It looks pretty crazy. Iron Rattler Mine Train, which is the tilt coaster at Six Flags Qiddiya, has also gone vertical. A Gerstlauer Shipment at Dollywood that it's unclear what it's for has also been found through shipping documents. So we'll keep an eye on that. Seemed like it may not be for a coaster, which is interesting because they don't have any flat rides from them. But maybe that could be off, but we'll see. Alghazal, which is an Intamin spinning launch coaster at Muriel in Qatar, which is that water park that with the crazy slide complexes that is testing. Aquaticar, which is a ride concept that is going to a park in Saudi Arabia. Onsite has had successful testing, and it will now be relocated to get integrated into a park. Joris and the Draak at Efteling is getting a wood retracking, not Titan track, wood retracking. Excalibur at Funtown Splashtown USA will be receiving a gravity group retracking. Iron Menace has its track on site. Good Gravy also has its track on site. Ziegel-Blitz is testing. That is a Gerstlauer bobsled. Going to Cedar Park in Germany. Mahuka at Walibi Rhone Alps. The track work has been completed. Coastersaurus is also getting some retracking. Three Ponies RV Park and Campground had its groundbreaking, which that is part of the American Heartland Resort. So gives it more life and more of an opportunity to actually come to reality, which is good. Accelerator Knott's Berry Farm has been seen testing again, which is good news. And then you have Lightning Rod at Dollywood, which has been closed to remove the launch. And then Hurler has also getting some retracking. Specifically, that last turn will be getting retracked. So those are all your construction updates. And we'll move on to the rest of the news. So according to a notice, Legoland California has pretty much is confirmed to be receiving an indoor ride in a 43-foot tall building, a 33-foot tall outdoor ride, and a new playground for 2025, which will replace Safari Trek and Fairy Tale Brook, which have closed. This is likely for a new land, and it is to be determined what these attractions are. Speculation is the indoor ride will be a dark ride of some sort, potentially similar to the trackless one they have in Legoland New York, but that's complete speculation. The 33-foot tall ride, outdoor ride, your guess is as good as mine. And this will be something that will probably become a little more clearer in the coming months, but looks like some big things coming for Legoland California. So that is definitely good to see. Would definitely be nice for them to get an outdoor coaster. I don't think it'll happen in this case, but would be fun to see. They haven't gotten one in a while, so that would be nice, but we'll have to continue to sort of watch what the construction site sort of looks like. Next, we have our next announcement, which is Gardaland, which has begun teasing their 2024 attraction that will be themed to a Native American legend. This will be replacing Sequoia Magic Loop, so sort of keeping the same theme, it appears. And the ride is rumored to be, the replacement for it is rumored to be a family-themed drop tower similar to Croc Drop at Chessington, since that was kind of seen in a survey. So if you want to go off of rumors, that is potentially what they're getting, which would make sense because that plot of land is very compact. So it'd be pretty tricky to find a replacement for that ride. So that appears to be what may be in the pipeline. But of course, that's something that we'll kind of see. Another ride that it's one to keep an eye on for the construction, see if anything sort of becomes a little more obvious in terms of what they will be getting. Next, we have Walt Disney World. They are bringing back all-day park hopper access on January 9th of 2024. That has been limited really since COVID, so nice to see it. For those of you who are visiting Disney World, this is definitely something that is worth considering. So that is good news there. Next, we have Alabama Adventure. They will unveil their 2024 edition on Christmas. To be determined what it is. I've heard that it seems to be more likely to be a water park attraction. And they've begun a little bit of teasing for that. But that's one to keep an eye on the social media accounts, see if we get more information relating to that. And, of course, for the announcement on Christmas Day. Next, we have our pre-IAPA announcement. So actually, thanks to the Coaster Force forums, we actually have a list of all the press conferences that we can expect to see. So, and some of them I've put in bold what has already been confirmed. We know that Cedar Point with Zamperla, we will be seeing a Top Thrill 2 train reveal that has been confirmed through their social medias. We are going to be getting some Falcons flight info with the Intamin and Qiddiya announcement. That's also been confirmed through Intamin social medias. Some of these other ones are pretty obvious. Holiday World with Vekoma, that's going to be related to Good Gravy. Busch Gardens Williamsburg with Premier Rides. We now know that is for sure going to be with Loch Ness Monster because Premier will be doing the retracking there. Zamperla with PTC, that is rumored to be for Comet because that just kind of makes sense. Silver Dollar City with Rocky Mountain Construction, that's going to be Fire in the Hole. Gravity Group with Six Flags Great Escape, that's going to be something related to Bobcat, you would imagine. SeaWorld Orlando with B&M, that's going to be, of course, Penguin Trek. S&S Worldwide with 7, that's probably going to be something Axis Coaster related, so that could be an interesting one to keep an eye on. And of course, you have all these other companies as well presenting their own sort of things as well. So keep an eye on all of this. There's also going to be stuff that you see outside of the press conferences as well. So looks like it's going to be a pretty loaded year in terms of information and new stuff for IAAPA, which is pretty exciting. So like I said, should be a really good event this year. But we also have some other things. So SBF Visa has, well, Visa Coasters is a new coaster division, coaster-specific division of SBF Visa that was announced earlier this year, but they have now recently launched their website with many new models and layouts divided into 4 coaster categories. The top left is their Boomerang coaster category. The bottom left is their launch coasters. The top right is going to be their Mega Kids coasters. And then the bottom right is going to be their dueling/mixed coasters. So I wrote an article on it, and if you want to check out more about these models, make sure to go onto the website. There's a lot there, but will be interesting to see if these pick up steam. A decent amount of these are already either pretty much being built actually in Germany, so will be interesting to see, especially with the popularity of the SBF spinners, if these other models can catch on. But that is a lot of new coasters and models from Visa Coasters. So that'll be an interesting one to keep an eye out on, especially for European parks. But maybe some of these could make their way into America. So should be interesting. And then we also have several new sort of things that got unveiled before IAAPA. So Zamperla, they've unveiled their new Family Coaster 145 meter layout, which is basically a larger little like sort of kiddie coaster. So kind of similar to their Family Gravity coasters, but a little larger. They also will be debuting their updated Family Gravity coasters, like, you know, Coco Cruiser, Roadrunner Express at Discovery Kingdom, like those kinds of coasters, Whistle Punk Chaser, at a few parks in 2024. Unsure of where, they haven't revealed that, but Zamperla did mention that. Zier has also unveiled their FC 245 family launch coaster layout, which can be seen here on the bottom left. Extreme Engineering has unveiled their Ollie Loop flat ride model, which looks to be a new family-friendly flat ride, which you can see on the top right. Brogent Technologies has unveiled their O-Ride Flying Theater, which can be built in a short 3 to 6 month time frame. So that's going to be on the bottom right. And then that polar coaster looking like thing is actually Martin and Vlemix, now MV Rides. That is their new Sky Spire observation ride model. So those were unveiled ahead of IAAPA. Could get some more information related to these during the event, but only time will tell there. So you have that. But additionally, you also have Bold Move Nation, who has unveiled their new Voodoo Festival Shooting Dark Ride, which is on the left. And that is pretty much sort of a thing for, I think it's mostly focused for FECs. The storyline is basically about saving the Mardi Gras festival from voodoo dolls, and apparently this ride can be kid-friendly during the day and scarier at night. I assume mostly like screen projection technology would allow for that, so that is pretty interesting. They also have this thing on the right here, which is called a double down, attraction, which is a multiverse-themed walkthrough / dark ride hybrid attraction, which begins with a walkthrough where you do activities to gain power-ups, which affect your dark ride experience. Sounds pretty interesting. And those are some things that Bold Move Nation has announced before IAAPA. So that is pretty much it in terms of your pre-IAAPA announcements for now. Next, we'll move on to Universal, specifically Universal Studios Hollywood. They have confirmed that their Fast and Furious coaster will feature rotating cars and sound barrier walls. Kind of had to put this out for the neighborhoods and such. This information had to be put out there, so we do know that now. Some people were disappointed with the sound barrier walls. I mean, if it's between that and this coaster not happening, I will definitely take the sound barrier walls. So I'm still very excited for this coaster, and I can't wait to learn more once we do. Also great to see that the rotating cars, which we kind of figured was a given, has been officially confirmed. Definitely will add an extra layer to what will be probably a phenomenal coaster once it opens, whenever that may be, probably 2025 at this point. So that is intriguing. Universal Horror Unleashed has also been unveiled as the name for Universal's horror attraction in Las Vegas. Not a whole lot of other information given, just that mostly the name was provided, which logo looks pretty cool, so that's nice to see. And we have Santa's Village in New Hampshire. They have revealed more details about Midnight Flyers. Specifically, they have unveiled an animation, obviously this concept art, which confirms that this will be a Vekoma Horus Junior coaster, which is a brand new junior coaster model from Vekoma. So I did also write an article about this on Coaster 101, so make sure to check that out if you want more there. And then we have some news that hits home for me. Fresno Playland is in danger of closing for good in January if attendance does not turn around. I did actually get to visit this park on reopening day. So obviously this is not news that I want to hear, or really those in the area want to hear. But in some ways, I can say I'm not too surprised. Their pricing strategy out of the gate was a little suspect, I will say. But hopefully they can get things turned around. I know they've kind of tried to change that since. But hopefully this thing can get saved. It's had a very rocky history, this park. So closing and reopenings have happened quite a bit. So would definitely not like to see it, especially considering it got a really nice facelift from the new operators. So hopefully things can turn around here. But it is not looking good right now. Next, we have Shockwave at Drayton Manor. It will close as a stand-up coaster on November 5th and will get sit-down trains in 2024. This was a rumor, but it will indeed be happening. So if you are in the UK, this is a sort of new coaster experience you can look forward to. One of a decent amount next year. So just add this one to the list there. But should hopefully allow for a more comfortable ride experience, though it is unfortunate to see another Intamin stand-up bite the dust. Though the coaster, of course, is staying, just the trains are being reconfigured. So that is pretty much that there. GCI has officially unveiled Anger of Yeti at OCT Zhangyang, which is a park in China. This will be a GCI wooden coaster that is a clone of Thunderbird or American Thunder, but it'll have a steel structure as opposed to the normal wooden structure. So that's going to be the big difference there. It has also gone vertical, as you can see from the photo. So this coaster was kind of known about for a while, but it's now been officially announced. So that is nice to see. Also, very interesting name, Anger of Yeti. Was said to be related to mythology in the area, so especially with the mountains. So that is a pretty interesting one. Next, you have Morgan's Wonderland. They are receiving a $6 million expansion with multiple rides. This is an accessibility focused park in Texas. They will be receiving Jet's Wonder Bikes, which is kind of a Magic Bikes ride from Zamperla, a 4D theater, a new boat ride, and a zipline attraction called Rocket's Skyflight Adventure. All of these will accommodate the more accessibility-focused aspects of the park. So, huge new investment, the largest expansion in the park's history, for a good cause. So, you'll like to see it. Next, you have Kodoland, of course, also in Texas. The grand opening is said to be potentially coming in 2025. Really, what's been going on is construction has been delayed due to permits and slow city approvals, but things are moving in the right direction. It's just going a little slower than what would be hoped. And also, the first SBF Visa Evolux, or Evolux, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but the flat ride on the top has been purchased by the park. So, we'll see if it'll be the first one to actually open, but the first one to have been sold goes to Kodoland, which is nice to see. So if you kind of saw that flat ride and thought it was interesting a few months back whenever I mentioned it, well, we will be seeing one in the near future here. Next, we have California's Great America Carowinds and Kings Dominion, who are all discontinuing their year-round operations. Carowinds and Kings Dominion specifically only introduced them last year as their first year. Just seemed to caused a lot of difficulties, especially on Carowinds' side. I actually heard more people were happy about this than not. Seemed to just kind of affect the overall year. So definitely seems like in these cases probably a good move to do that. Especially if it affected operations at other points in the year and not a whole lot of people were visiting. Obviously, it would be great if they could operate year-round and it would be popular, but that didn't seem to be the case here, so makes sense. And then next, we have a new ambitious theme park in Croatia, which is called Legendland, was recently announced, which sounds great if you looked at the website or the concepts. It's pretty crazy. Like, some of the coasters they talked about having included a Dueling Arms Z coaster, a Fourth Dimension coaster from S&S in the style of like Edgenica. So pretty ambitious plans. However, they have come to a screeching halt since the creators of the park proposal have announced that they have recently found out they cannot use the land they intended to build the park on. And now they are looking for a new city and location. They were building funding through the website and had to refund everybody who had funded because of the situation. So I'm not too optimistic about this park happening. Just seems insanely ambitious. I know we've seen something like Energylandia get built, but already some early significant concerns. Would be cool if it happened in whatever form it ended up happening. If you want to go check it out, the website, like, they have all the rides and like manufacturers listed that they theoretically would do. It's pretty crazy. But I'd be surprised if it ends up happening at this point, unfortunately. So, but it's interesting to talk about regardless. Next, we have SeaWorld 2024. So I did already talk about them when they officially announced these rides, but we got a little more information from Penguin Trek for SeaWorld Orlando. They unveiled an animation and more details for their officially confirmed B&M family launch coaster. So pretty much like just an animation was shown. They talked about how it's confirmed to be from B&M. We got to see the full train, which you can see here. And then they also mentioned that it wasn't real clear if, like, they say at the end of the ride experience, you'll be able to see the penguins. It's unclear if that's, like, at the brake run or as you're exiting. I'm going to assume exiting. But you will also be able to see the penguin exhibit after riding the ride, it sounds like, which is good, since that by itself gets a long wait. And then in addition, the penguin mascot is returning there. Busch Gardens Tampa has unveiled the layout and new illustration for Phoenix Rising, which you can see here on the right. It has also been unveiled that it will have one train, which is similar to the other family inverts B&M has built. Though to those who hadn't known that, it was a little bit of a surprise, but worth noting if you're going there next year. Definitely probably one of the first coasters you want to ride because obviously capacity won't be the strongest suit for this coaster, but looks fun otherwise. And then Busch Gardens Williamsburg just this morning unveiled new details for Loch Ness Monster. 900 feet of the track will be replaced by Premier Rides. We will have new cave and queue theming, refurbished trains, so the trains are staying the same. They're not. Some people got confused. The trains in general are like staying the same, just being refurbished, so we're not seeing like Skyrocket 2 trains or anything on it. Trains will be very similar to as they are now, just, getting upgraded. And the ride will be closing on November 5th to prep for the new overhaul. So there you have that. Next we are running into our sort of last stretch. The mayor of a city in Spain that is home to Tivoli World has revealed that a foreign investment firm is very interested in taking over and reopening Tivoli World, which has not operated since September of 2020. This is a park that had 3 coasters, not very large, but they had a Zyklon coaster as their main coaster, along with pretty nice looking theming, and a pretty good sized park as well. So we'll see if this actually ends up happening. The park has not been open in close to 3 years, over 3 years actually at this point. So we'll have to see if anything happens with this park. But for anyone who is thinking of going to that area in the next few years, I guess something to keep an eye on, or if you're near there, something to, like I said, keep an eye on. Next, we have some unfortunate news. So the former GM of Genting Sky Worlds has provided new info about the park's SFX coaster and Mad Ramp Peak. And unfortunately, both are very unlikely to ever open due to the bankruptcy of Dynamic Attractions that I covered last year or earlier this year. I forget when it happened, but I mentioned it a while back. And the cost to open and maintain them. No work has taken place on the SFX coaster specifically since 2019, which is a really bad sign. So I'm not really sure what this park can really do about these things. Obviously, you would hope eventually some new rides will take the place of these attractions, but my goodness, that is a pretty devastating blow to 2 of what probably were going to be the standout rides at this park, and 2 very intriguing rides. Very unfortunate that it sounds like they will very likely never see the light of day, especially the SFX coaster is pretty much a goner, pretty much for sure. We kind of already knew that. We knew they had sold off parts, but now we have a little more context for it, and it does not sound good, unfortunately. So that is certainly not ideal there. Next, we have Historic Haas Farm. Also credit Civilian Satellite for allowing me to use the picture here for this. But Historic Haas Farm in Anderson, California, has recently purchased Monster Mouse and Little Dipper from Amusement Park Drive-In. The Little Dipper coaster has actually been built in a storage area, and there are hopes to restore Monster Mouse in 2024. Unclear if that's I guess it was on RCDB, it was listed as beginning of restoration, so I don't know if that means it would actually open next year, or if they're just beginning to work on it. But regardless, if they can somehow get this ride back open, that would be awesome. Canopy Coaster did a review on a Monster Mouse coaster, and it sounds pretty insane. So if this park can get this thing back open, I may have to take a trip out to ride it, because this coaster model and this type of wild mouse looks pretty insane. So there you go. Historic Haas Farm is kind of a sort of farm, I don't know if they're seasonal, but they've kind of become more of a thing in recent years, in terms of like actually adding coasters and whatnot. So I don't know too much about the park otherwise. So we'll have to see if this thing can get revived. It will be a very challenging project, but I would love to see it, of course. Next is Max Matching. They have unveiled a multi-FEC complex called Top Park in Beijing, which is opening in 2026. It will include a Peppa Pig Snowland, Crayola Experience, Mattel-themed FEC, a Hasbro-themed FEC, and a Wild Brain-themed FEC, which is like an education thing, and more as part of this complex. Unclear if what attractions would be involved in the FECs, but a lot of the pictures of the complex looked pretty interesting if you go on the Blue Loop article. And so we'll see if what exactly comes of these FECs, because that's like a lot of them in a little space, so it's kind of interesting looking. Next, we have Luna Park Sydney. They have unveiled Dream Circus, which is actually opening on December 22nd. They've kept this under wraps pretty well. This is a $15 million, 45-minute immersive experience with floor-to-ceiling screens, projections, and holograms. This is a world's first kind of attraction with some very innovative technology that will be located in the park's big top tent building. And it'll be a separate cost. It'll cost $45 a ticket, so pretty expensive, but looks pretty crazy. I'm definitely curious to see the footage and the reviews of this thing once it opens, because it looks unlike really anything that I've at least seen up to this point. So pretty interesting and weird attraction to kind of be announced out of absolutely nowhere with so little time to prepare, but it does look very, very fascinating. And in our last bit of news before our last two rumors, Huck Finn's Playland in Albany, New York. It's a very small park. They have an Alan Herschel Little Dipper as their coaster has been purchased by Scene One Entertainment, which is a local movie theater operator, which has hopes to expand and add new attractions. So that is our last bit of news there before we head into the rumor mill. So spoiler warning, I'm going to get to the spoilers in this countdown in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Alrighty, so Epic Universe, we have some rumors from Screamscape. Supposedly the Wizarding World area that will open will only feature one single main attraction at opening, as the VR Broomstick rumored attraction has been shelved after just various bits of trying to figure out what to do with it and sort of testing phases in similar attractions they've put elsewhere. They've decided that they will not go with that as one of the attractions there, according to this rumor, which from what I've heard sounds pretty accurate from other things. Unclear. I don't even know. I can't even recall exactly what the main attraction was going to be like as of right now, but sounds like that's going to be what's happening. And then Super Nintendo World may get an expansion after the park opens with a Luigi's Mansion Omnimover interactive shooter attraction, which would be a new ride, obviously, in that area, because the Super Nintendo Worlds in Japan and Hollywood have been ridiculously popular, and supposedly they feel like they need to add more attractions to accommodate for the crowds, which I would be super hyped to see a Luigi's Mansion attraction. Even though I haven't played the games, I think just from the little bits that I know from the games, that could be a ride, an attraction, or not an attraction. That could be a concept, like the game concept, I think could really translate well to a ride. So I would love to see this. I think this sounds like an awesome idea if they go through with it. So I do hope that we do get to see this, because that would just be like really sick. And I think a lot of people would definitely agree with that. So we do have that. And then our final attraction, supposedly, also according to Screamscape, SeaWorld Orlando is adding a flying theater in 2025 or 2026 that would theoretically replace Wild Arctic. I'm not buying this one. Screamscape and Flying Theater rumors, just they don't mix, if you know what I'm talking about. But on top of that, SeaWorld seems to be shifting away from dark rides, so this is just kind of, it would be a little bit of a surprise. It makes sense. They do need it. Like, I would like for them to get a Flying Theater. I think it would be a good fit. But, I mean, you have Soarin' at Epcot already. That's not too far away. So it's just kind of like, I'd be a little surprised to see this actually happen. Would be a good fit, but I'm not buying this one. I'll just say that. So at least with the Universal one, Screamscape actually has had a pretty decent track record with their stuff. So wanted to say that. And that'll wrap it up for the news. I saw a bunch of donations come in, so I do want to go through those, including $20 one. Wow. Thank you, Michael, so much for that. I really appreciate it. So Michael with a $20, $1. Man, thank you, Michael. Really appreciate it. Along with Sanford Bridge, also donated. And then Civilian Satellite as well. So very much appreciate that. Thank you all so much. I mean, definitely is encouraging. With the streams, decent bit of effort has to go into the this, so I do appreciate it a lot. So thank you. But with that being said, I will move on into our second Q&A segment. So any questions you have, specifically now that we've gone through the news, this would be the time to do it. And then we'll go into our Coaster Hangman game, which has been created by Frontier Coasters. So that is the plan there. But very much appreciate that. Alrighty, so Q&A, ask any questions, and then like I said, we'll go into our Coaster Hangman segment. So that's going to be the plan there. And I guess I'll just kind of look through the news stuff, see if there's anything interesting, because I can kind of look at it, but it's a lot to kind of focus on. Yeah, congrats to the Rangers for winning the World Series and making the Atlanta Falcons the oldest team in the major leagues without a championship. That's pretty awesome. General thoughts on Six Flags and Cedar Fair merger. So I think for those who follow my Instagram, when I reacted to it initially, like before it happened, I was like, oh, this I hope this doesn't happen. It's gonna be terrible. Kind of seeing like different things. I'm a little more optimistic, but I do have concerns. For one, so I guess let's get to the good. So for one, I mean, having a season pass that gets you into all the parks, yes, I know it's going to be expensive. I think I saw your question earlier of like guesses. I saw that like a Cedar Fair and Six Flags, like if you got the cheapest ones that would go into all the parks and you combine them, it'd be about $320. So my guess is that the season pass for Cedar Fair, like the new, Six Flags pass that would include all the parks, would probably be between, I'll say $280 and $400 is kind of a big range, but I think anything within that realm would be understandable. So that would be my guess there. Although for different regions it could also differ, so that also has to be taken into account. But I mean, yeah, the season pass thing, that already is like, I mean, just the idea of that's pretty sick. So I do like that. I'm curious also, like, there's certain things that the chains have kind of weaknesses with. I think we'll see how much they work with each other, but especially with like new ride additions, Cedar Fair is very picky with who they've worked with. And now, I mean, the people there have to kind of see this thing out with the new Six Flags editions with parks or manufacturers that they haven't worked with in a while, especially like Intamin. So I think that could potentially be big if they see that this can work with the new water coaster there at Over Georgia. Maybe they're going to be more willing to work with Intamin. So hopefully it means that like we get a little more diversity in terms of roller coasters and types of attractions for both chains, because there's certain rides and manufacturers that feel like they're like sort of off limits for each chain. You know, like Cedar Fair, RMC, Intamin are kind of like the big ones. Six Flags, it's like been Gerstlauer, which Cedar Fair's worked with. And then like certain B&M and Mock Rides coasters just have not been available to Six Flags. So I think hopefully in an ideal situation, we could see some of those bigger rides go to certain Six Flags parks that you wouldn't see otherwise. Do I think for sure that's going to happen? No, but I mean, theoretically it would be like nice to see that. I think there's also like, I think Cedar Fair, a decent amount of their parks in general just have like better operations. And so I think taking some of that and putting in Six Flags parks would be nice, but that's not necessarily consistent because like Knott's is kind of slow. So that there's, I think, certain aspects of both chains when it comes to the park experience that certain ones do a little better than the other, and hopefully they could kind of get the best out of that. I guess there's a world where you could get the worst, but hopefully that doesn't happen. So that would be like what I would hope to see there. So I think those are some of the good things. And I'd be curious. Also, they say fully up they're gonna do something with the fast lane program, making them more like the fast lane. I think would probably be an improvement. I think the flash pass is a little too weird with how it works. So I would rather they go kind of fast lane route. Maybe people don't agree with that, but in terms of how the fast passes work, I would like to see that. My concerns, for one, they haven't mentioned anything yet, but I would wonder if this happened, or well, obviously, I mean, it is going to happen, but like, I'm not really concerned about some people have been concerned like this could be a potential monopoly. I don't think that's going to be an issue in terms of getting that approved. But would they potentially sell off, or would some parks potentially die in the process with this whole thing happening? Because having so many parks to run, it just kind of feels like some parks could potentially have to die. Like, does California's Great America, does the timeline for that park speed up quite a bit because of this? I think that's very plausible to happen. Could certain other parks get sold off or even like killed off completely? So that's some other things that I would be concerned about, especially like potentially killed off. I don't know which parts those would be. I know like Darien Lake, even though Six Flags doesn't fully own that would be one that it's kind of like they haven't been doing great for a little bit. Would that be one they'd be willing to kind of do whatever with, although they'd probably find another operator and be okay. So I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about like the sort of investments they say they say they should be better and people think they will be, but there could be a situation where it's like there's too many mouths to feed, and so like the new ride additions are just less exciting in general. Or maybe like the big parks still get like really nice additions, but like now you just have way more like neglected parks now. So there could be that. And then there's like the situation of like it's just too much, and the quality of like operations and things in the park get worse, just because it's like so much to kind of handle. I doubt that happens, but it's just something that could, I guess. So there's like, I think at this point I'm a little more optimistic for this than negative, but I do have concerns about this whole thing happening. So I guess that was probably a lot, but those are just some general thoughts on that. What's the deal with Iron Menace? I mean, people don't like the name, I guess, but it looks like a pretty good dive coaster. It doesn't have a mid-course, so I think it looks pretty good. Looks like a nice addition for the Dorney Park. Not gonna like rave about it or anything, but it looks pretty good. Isn't Playland the only? It's not even large. It's like it's pretty small. Like there are like a decent sized roller coaster would be larger than the entire footprint of that park. It feels like. So it's not that large, but it kind of is the only true amusement park in the Central Valley region, because you have like FECs and such, but you don't really have a park. Storyland, I guess, kind of is, but they don't really have rides, which that is not in danger. That's like next door. But yeah, it would not be good if it did not make it. So it basically is our only like sort of true amusement park in the region. So yes. Let's see. Won't the new merge chain only feel? That's my concern. Is like, is so only feel they need to compete in the regions where there are Herschend or Universal or Disney parks, and feel quite safe about improvements in the many areas where they'd now have a monopoly. Yeah, that's like the concern, because like, so they did say that there's like, in terms of areas, there's actually really not that many in terms of like that they'd have like a true takeover of. Like certain areas like NorCal, obviously, like now they just, yeah, they kind of have that. But Great America's what's already closing anyways, so it's kind of like, well, I mean, that doesn't really change a whole lot. Six Flags America and King's Dominion being pretty close to each other was, I think, also one that was mentioned. Dorney Parking, Great Adventure, but even those, there's definitely other competitors in their respective areas, like Hershey Park, maybe even like Knoebels, like, so there's a decent bit of parks there, and then like I can't honestly think of anywhere else that it's like, I guess like Magic Mountain and Knott's, but there's Disney and Universal still, so it's kind of like, I theoretically it should still be fine, but we'll see. What park would Cedar Fair rename to Six Flags if it happened? If I had to pick one, it probably would be one where there's not like a Six Flags park like anywhere close to it. Michigan's Adventure would actually kind of make sense. I mean, where's the nearest Six Flags park to there? I mean, yeah, honestly, I probably would go with that, because like the only other one that like geographically probably makes any sense is like Valley Fair. And if I had to pick between the two, I'd probably go Michigan's Adventure. But so I think I'd have to go with that one. So because Worlds of Fun is not too far from Six Flags St. Louis, like, yeah, Cedar Point and Kings Island, you're not renaming those. Kings Dominion's close to Six Flags America. Canada's Wonderland, you're not renaming that. And Dorney Park, close to a Six Flags, so not that one either. So no, I think that would probably, Michigan's Adventure would probably be the one. I think you're right on that. And the California ones also are too close. So let's see. Looking at pictures of Kid Flash's preview day, it's very amusing how it's mostly enthusiasts and almost no children. Yeah, well, it's a preview and a pass holder day, so that's probably why. That stuff's just gonna kind of be that way, probably. But yeah, it is kind of funny. Let's see. Yeah, they might. I don't even buy that they're gonna put a Six Flags park underneath like the Kings Island Cedar Point. Some people have suggested that. I don't think, at least for most of the Cedar Fair parks, I don't think they're gonna do that. Though I guess it would be one way to be like it's part of Six Flags, but I don't know that we're gonna see that. Yeah, it's definitely a wait and see. We don't really know what's gonna happen. I mean, for one, this merger has to actually go through, which it probably will. But there's like a decent amount of time before Q1 of 2024. So, and we have seen like a theme park sort of. I forget if it was a buyout or merger. I think in the late 2000s that it was like it was gonna happen until things kind of didn't work out. So, yeah. So it's gonna be very very interesting. If there was a chance to build a large amusement park in the Central Valley, where would you say yes? Which would you say yes? Which area to put it in, and what theme for the park? So I mean, in terms of an area, there's some areas I think in Fresno or near it, or at least along the highway, somewhere within access pretty close to Fresno, I think would be your best bet because that's your largest Central Valley city, and you can drive from LA to San Francisco through some of the highways there. So I think somewhere that's like pretty close to the highway would be a good fit, and there's some fields and stuff. So I think there's areas that you could theoretically build a park. So I do it near a highway, and near Fresno, and then what theme for it? Oof, that's tricky because it's like I don't know exactly how you would, because the Central Valley is like very agricultural focused, but I don't necessarily know if that lends itself great for a theme. You could also we do, I mean, in terms of like Central Valley stuff, like very agriculture focused, very large Hispanic population. So could you do something with that? I don't know what I would choose for that. That would be pretty tricky. I'd definitely have to think about it a lot more. I can't really do it on the spot. But I think they could do, like, I think this area could do it and could support it. Especially if it was like smartly located, like I said, like near a highway or something. I think it would do pretty well. Especially with Great America closing. Like, yeah, Discovery Kingdom's gonna exist, but I definitely think that a park could be supported, for sure. Let's see. Great Adventure / Dorney and other similar combos can probably make a lot of money with 2 park day passes. Sort of like SeaWorld Orlando and Busch Gardens Tampa. Yeah, definitely. Great Adventure Dorney, Knott's, Magic Mountain, California's Great American Discovery Kingdom if they want to do that. King's Dominion and Six Flags America. Actually, that would be a good one, because it's like, well, why would you go to Busch Gardens Williamsburg when you can do both King's Dominion and Six Flags America? So yeah, I think that would definitely make a lot of sense for that. So definitely. I do. I think they did mention geography. They like had geography listed. I think they will have passes and tickets. Yeah, kind of like what Civilian Satellite said. I could also see them doing like season passes, like maybe a west pass where it's like you get into like Magic Mountain and Knott's and like Great American Discovery Kingdom, and then like maybe a like south and east and north or whatever. I could even see something like that happening, but I think definitely they'll do tickets at the very least, for sure, because that just seems like a really good move to do. So yeah, I think. Did I miss any questions? Because I think I think I got everything. So, how would I feel about DC character? So for one, will it happen? Perhaps they didn't say it wouldn't. But I don't know for sure if they're actually gonna put them in Cedar Fair parks. How would I feel if they did? It definitely would be weird. It just kind of would depend on how they do them, because if it's like the Six Flags style theming, I think it's gonna be really out of place at a Cedar Fair park in most cases. But if they kind of do a little bit better job in terms of how it looks and like theming, at least like just compared to how Six Flags does it with the merger, I think they could do it in a way that would work. It would still be very strange, but if I'm not opposed to it if they can do it a little better than what I will say for the most part Six Flags has done. That's not to say some Six Flags rides are actually really not cool in terms of how they incorporate it. Justice League's like pretty solid, pretty good for what Six Flags normally does. The Mr. Freeze queue at Six Flags Over Texas at least is pretty sick. Even Batman to Ride I think is actually all right. In terms of that sort of thing. So I think that if they do it right, it'll be fine. But it'll definitely be weird for sure if they do end up going that route. Alrighty, so that's gonna do it for our Q&A. So we're gonna go into Coaster Hangman. So that'll be our next segment. Created by Frontier Coasters. So thanks to Frontier Coasters for creating this. And with that being said, we're gonna get started on this once I get it up here. All right, let's pull it up. All right, can everyone see it? Hopefully, let me know in chat if it comes up and looks good. And then if it does, we will get started pretty quickly here. All right, looks good. Cool. We have 10 rounds for this time around, and we will get started in 3, 2, 1. Here is round 1. So guess away the letters. Or like the coaster itself, whichever you want to go with. Is there an E? There is indeed an E. Yep. Let's get that. There is no A. And there is no R either. So no A, no R. There is, however, multiple I's. So all right, so I, it's not Mystic Timbers. Is there a T? Yep. We have 2 of them, in fact. Is there an S? No S. Is there an L? Yep. Alrighty. Let's see if that helps. Is there a B? Nope. No B. H. There is 2 H's. And Stamford Bridge got it. It is indeed White Lightning, quickly followed by Coaster Evan. So yes, that is the correct answer. Stamford Bridge got it first, at least as far as I could see. So on the board goes Stamford Bridge with 1. And we'll get into our next one. So round 2, guess away. Once again, huge thanks to Frontier Coasters for making this. Does it have an E? Yes, it does. Does it have an A? It does not. So no A. Does it have an M? No M. Does it have a T? Nope, no T. Does it have an S? No S. Does it have an O? Oh boy, hold up. It does indeed have an O. Does it have an I? It does. Getting a little closer, maybe. There is 1 N. Yep. And Coaster Evan got it first, at least on my end. It is indeed Hyperion at Energylandia. So that is indeed the correct answer. So Coaster Evan is also on the board. Though Civilian Satellite was very close behind. Alrighty, so we'll move on to the next one, which is round 3. I almost said the name, which would have been horrible. But guess away. Alright, is there an E? Wow, there actually is not an E in this one. For as many letters as it is, there is no E. That is crazy. However, there is multiple R's. Let's see. Yep. Alright, is there an A? Yep. There are 2 of them. Is there an N? No N. Is there an L? There is 1. Is there an S? Yes, there are 3 of them. Let's see, is there an O? Surprisingly, there is not, so no O. Is there a T? Once again, surprisingly, there is not. There is no T. And Michael got it right. If you've been watching the streams for a while, it is indeed the meme coaster, Bisbee's Spiral Airship. Yep, it is indeed Bisbee's Spiral Airship. So there you go. I initially was like, oh, that's a little too difficult, but it's like, but it's been talked about on the stream before, so I'm like, yeah, I think we can do it. That's fine. So, Bisbee Spiral Airship. Next, we have round 4. Had it not been a meme on this, or like a sort of running joke, I would not have included it, because yeah, it is insanely difficult. Alright, does it have an E? Yes, it has multiple, or 2 of them actually. Does it have a T? Nope. H. Yep. 2 of them. Does it have an A? Yes. 1 A. Let's see, is it getting any easier or not? Does it have an O? Why, yes it does. It has 2 of them. Oh, wrong letter. Yep, it is, Coaster Evan got it. It is Hoosier Hurricane. So Coaster Evan has 2 points. Michael was the one who got Bisbee, so I actually got to get Michael on the board. All right, so good guess there, or yeah, good answer, I should say. It is indeed Hoosier Hurricane, or Hoosier Hurricane. Next we have round 5. Guess away. Is there an E? Nope, not in this one. Is there a D? Yes, there are. There are 2 of them. Is there an X? Nope. No X. Is there an R? There is not. It is not Daddy Pigs. Does it have an A? It does. Does it have an O? No, it does not. All right. Does it have an M? It does not. Does it have an it? We already went through A. Does it have an I? It does. Does it have a Y? Yep, it does. Does it have a K? Yes, it has 2. And before I could even get there, 808 Coaster Life did answer correctly. It is indeed Kitty Hawk at Carowinds. So 808 Coaster Life is on the board. Make sure to check out the new Wonder Woman Flight of Courage review he made. Just came out shortly before the stream. So make sure to check that out. Good review. But yep, there it is. Kitty Hawk. Already halfway through, and we'll move on into round 6. Is there an E? Nope, there is no E. Nope. Despite the amount of letters, there is none. Alrighty, there is one A, however. Is there a T? Nope, no T. E is not part of this. Is there an S? There is no S. Is there an O? There is. Multiple, in fact. Is there a U? No, there is not. Is there an R? There is not. Is there an I? Yes, there are 2 of them. Let's see. Is there a C? There is not. And Stamford Bridge has got it. It is indeed Olympia looping. That is the correct answer. So Stamford Bridge has a 2nd point. Alrighty. Moving on, we'll go into our 7th round. So guess away. Does it have an E? Yes, it does. It has 3 of them. It is not Nessie. Let's see. Does it have an A? It does. Does it have a T? It does not. Does it have an S? It has 1. Does it have an O? Nope. No O. Does it have an I? It does not. No I. Stamford Bridge got it. It is indeed Super Manege from Laurent. There you go. Which technically you could argue, should it have counted because it's technically not an E, but we roll with it. Super Manege at Laurent is indeed the correct answer. So there you have it. We'll move, and that puts Stamford Bridge at 3 points. We'll go into the next one, which is round 8. Let's see. Does it have a U? No U. It does have 1 E. Does it have an A? It does not. Does it have a T? It does not. It's not Nessie, right? Does it have an S? It does not. Does it have an O? Yep, it has 3 of them. Does it have a Y? No Y. It does not have an I. But it does have an N. It's not roller coat. Already said T. Does it have an L? Yep, it has 2 of them. It's not roller loop. Let's see. No M. Okay, 808 Coaster Life got it first for on my end. It is indeed Golden Loop at Gold Reef City, the Schwarzkopf shuttle loop. So that is the correct answer. Golden Loop. All right, we'll move on to our next one, which, yeah, we'll see how y'all do on this one. That's going to be interesting. So currently the scoreboard is Sanford Bridge 3, Coaster Heaven 2, 808 Coaster Life 2, and Michael 1. So wanted to mention that. Is there an E? Yes, we have 3 E's. Is there an A? Yes. Is there a T? Yes. Is there an S? Yep, 2 of them. Is there an O? Yes, there is. Is there an I? Oh, wait, hold up. Alright, Civilian Satellite got it. It is indeed Eagle Fortress is the correct answer. So, Civilian Satellite is on the board with that one. Alrighty, so Civilian Satellite is, like I said, on the board, and we'll go into our last round, which is round 10. Guess away. Let's see, does it have an E? It does. Sorry. I have to use what is it? The Command F to just make sure I get everything right, and it like completely just threw me out of the page. Already. It does have 2 A's. Is there a T? Yes, but just 1. Is there an S? Yes, there are 2. Is there an O? Yep, 2 of them. Is there an I? Yep, there is 1. And Civilian Satellite got it. It is indeed Daddy Pig's Roller Coaster. That is the correct answer. It is Daddy Pig's Roller Coaster at the one and only the current one and only Peppa Pig theme park. Won't be like that for long, but yes, that is the correct answer. So Civilian Satellite gets on the board again with 2. So that'll wrap it up. Our winner for this one is Stamford Bridge. So let me get that. Stamford Bridge is our winner. Oh, it's in all caps. Hold up. All right, Stamford Bridge, congratulations on winning. Thanks everyone for playing our Coaster Hangman game. Huge thanks to Frontier Coasters again for making it. Yeah, that was our Coaster Hangman game. So congratulations. We'll move on to buy or sell before we go into guess the coaster and final Q&A. So, yep, that is the plan there. And then, so buy or sell, pretty much how this works. Very similar to Airtime Thrills segment. I've had Airtime Thrills on as a guest. Asked for him to use it. So basically, you put in your takes, whether they're related to, or predictions, whether they're related to like the future of the amusement industry, or just like takes about certain coasters, like opinions. Put it in the chat, and let me know, and I'll buy or sell it basically. Think we'll do a shorter one here. Let's see. I think it's 4:41 Eastern. So 4:50, I'll be taking in questions or buy or sell, and then we'll stop. And I was people were talking about it. I don't know if it'll be this one or the next buy or sell that Airtime Thrills does, but oh boy, he's gonna be flooded with questions about the Six Flags merger. So that is gonna be quite something to see. But yeah. Oh boy, this is already something. I already see the first one. Buy or sell. Against the current conventional wisdom, the merger will provide enough chain-wide stability for Six Flags to try a last-minute move to save California's Great America. Yeah, I mean, I like it, but I'm gonna sell it because no, I don't think so. I think Great America is still on the way out. But hey, at least maybe Discovery Kingdom will get Railblazer. I'd be down for that, but I'm going to sell that one hard. I would be very surprised if Great America gets saved. Oh god, this is already getting crazy. Buy or sell. Cedar Point gets the world's tallest Skyline Pisgetti Bowl coaster. You know, they could use a modern kiddie coaster. They actually really could. And would they do something like the tallest kiddie dueling coaster? Honestly, that doesn't seem out of their wheelhouse. You know what? It's such a funny idea that, and now that, like, assuming hopefully the Skyline Pisgetti Bowl coasters actually work out for the Six Flags parks, that might be something that Cedar Fair keeps an eye on. Honestly, I like the idea enough, and it honestly is something the park could use. I will buy it, because that would actually be, like, hilarious. So, they can have Junior Gemini once again, but it has a good reason for having the name. Junior Gemini Returns. I actually like this idea the more and more I think about it. So I will buy it, because I think there's actually a lot you could do with this. So, kind of crazy. So I actually do like that one. And it feels like something that could happen. Um, it is a good idea. If you really think about it, it actually kind of is. I mean, I guess they need another kiddie coaster? Maybe not, but you know, I think it'd be nice. I mean, it's Cedar Point. Like, they wouldn't say no. And they can call it 2 coasters and make it even better. Buy or sell. Instead of the chain rising the Cedar Fair standards with food, for example, it lowers the Six Flags standards. You see, this is like one of the things I'm concerned about. Like, I don't think it'll happen. I'm going to sell it because I do believe that things would trend in the better direction than the worse. But, you know, it is very plausible. It's very realistic. That, like, it could happen, but I'm going to sell. I just, I'm going to choose to look at it from an optimistic standpoint. But, it is a very valid concern. Why do people think Discovery Kingdom would get Railblazer? Because it'd be super easy to just relocate it, like, down the street, is basically the reasoning. Plus, it, like, so Discovery Kingdom, the reason why, like, I've seen it get thrown around, it, like, just makes a ton of sense. Yes, there's a bunch of other parks that could use it, but for one, in terms of relocating it, it wouldn't get any easier. 2, Discovery Kingdom has a really strict height requirement and only has so much space they could use. An RMC Raptor doesn't take up much space, so it's literally perfect. I mean, I think that right there is, like, I mentioned the height rate stuff there, right? I think that would be enough to make it, like, probably the best option to get it. Like, sure, other parks could use it, but I think it would just, for those reasons, it would make a lot of sense to just put it over there. So I think that would be wise to go about that. But if it went somewhere else, I wouldn't complain. I mean, I probably would kind of, because it's like I live in California, so I'm biased. But, yeah. Buy or sell. More North American parks will see premieres work on Loch Ness Monster and hire them to renovate their aero coasters if it goes well. I think, yeah, if it go, assuming things go great, yeah, I think they could be one of those companies that people look to do that. So yeah, I will buy it, and I think things should go fine. So. Yeah, I'll buy that. Buy or sell. Gold Striker is not bought by anyone and ends up demolished. I do buy it. I just, relocating that ride seems like such a pain, as much as I would like for them to do it. I mean, like, and heck, even like if there's more options, I guess now, if you wanted to relocate it to a Six Flags park, I was thinking about it the other day. Wouldn't this be like a nice fit at like Fiesta Texas or something like that? Carowinds, obviously, it'd also be good, as people have brought up, but I don't see it getting relocated. I'd love to be wrong, but I'm definitely buying this because I'd be very surprised if it ended up being saved. It just does not seem realistic. The only thing is like, I mean, I guess, I don't know how this would work, but if somehow, I don't know that it would be cheaper, but it'd probably be better for maintenance, since GCI has moved a little more towards doing steel structures. If somehow they could have like the same ride, but just with a steel structure, that might make it a little more possible. Or maybe not, maybe that would be a logistical nightmare. But like I'm like trying to find ways to justify how it could get relocated. I guess on the topic of if it were to get relocated, yeah, Carowinds, Fiesta Texas, I think would be another nice spot. Assuming they'd be willing to put the effort in keeping it up. I guess there is Texas Stingray nearby, but Honestly, what it'd be, I'd still think it'd be fun to have. Um, I guess maybe it would not be a good idea because I didn't think about how close Texas Stingray was. Um, but though I think those would be Carowinds definitely. I think actually just um, yeah. Buy or sell. Carowinds announced they were just joking about retracking Hurler because no, they're not. For one, Carowinds didn't actually announce it. It's just like people saw the like demolished final turn, and it's like okay, it's getting retracked. I think it's been getting some work done over the past few years, so no, I would be very surprised if they were bringing an RMC. I'm going to sell that sadly. Buy or sell. Cedar Fair parks marginally improve the amount of shade in their parks to achieve parity with Six Flags, or Six Flags adds big concrete plazas with hundreds of trash cans. Um, you know, I big concrete plazas. Um, hmm. Uh, I mean, I think we'll see some of those like sort of infrastructure things kind of hopefully the better parts of them go to uh the different parks. I know there are some Cedar Fair parks that yeah, they Cedar Point needs shade. And there's definitely some other ones that do. Although there's certain Six Flags parks that do really bad in that department as well. But I think yeah. I mean, I guess we'll see some sort of. I think we'll see some sort of infrastructure stuff. Hopefully in the right direction rather than the wrong direction. Um, Six Flags America already has some areas of vast concrete and no shade. I was gonna say, I'm like, I don't know that like Six Flags, like I don't think they're super reputable for having good shade. There's certain parks that certainly do it. Like Over Georgia is good, very well shaded park, um, and I mean Over Georgia's like kind of the one. So me. My brother asked buy or sell. They fixed the AC in the Wonder Woman queue. So it was working great when I went on Pass Holder Preview Day, right? I went another day. I don't know if it was just like filled, but it didn't seem to be working too well when I was with Jace. And then when my brother was there, apparently it was just not working at all. I mean, I assume it's just kind of on and off. But do they make it like consistently fixed? Probably not. I will sell that. Although with Cedar Fair kind of helping out, maybe that's something they can do. I hope so in that case. My brother went without me, and apparently it was like horrible in there. So, I mean, sell for the near future, but buy for the long term. Maybe in like 3 to 4 years, it'll be consistently good. Hopefully. Alrighty, I think I went a little over. I think that's gonna do it for buy or sell. Some good questions, some funny questions. Oh, okay, hold up. There's one. Buy or sell. Future Jace and Carrick Park visit videos are coming. I'll just leave that as a TBD. Very much so. I mean, I don't know, Jace, if you have any plans for more Magic Mountain stuff, but obviously the Wonder Woman review came out, so that's something to keep an eye out for. In terms of like the trip we did, like in terms of vlog stuff, there's not going to be any more of that, but like hopeful that it would be nice to do like another trip or something, but that's definitely not anything that's like planned right now. So that's a hopefully. But yeah, TBD. Yeah, I know you pretty much meant a new trip, and that is very much a TBD. Right now. The Party City props on the wall didn't help cool the room. Yeah, Jace is super busy with college. I mean, to be fair, as am I, but my stuff is certainly a lot. My major and the class I'm doing is a lot more workable. But yeah, that's we'll kind of see what the future goes from there. Alrighty, so that'll do it for buy or sell. Next, we'll move into guess the coaster. Let's probably gonna do little bit of a shorter one. 6 rounds is gonna be what I'm planning to do. I already got my first coaster, so guess away. That was fast. Alrighty, so guess the coaster. If you haven't played before, you'll kind of figure it out once the chat starts getting going. It'll be very kind of easy to figure it out. It is not Nessie, sadly. It is a US coaster, but it is not wooden. So far we have US coaster. It is in the US, so it's not in Europe. It is not a blue coaster. No, it is not blue. It is not Goliath. I can confirm it is not Goliath. It is east of the Mississippi River. Yep. So it is on the eastern side of the U.S. It is not at a SeaWorld park. So far, we have U.S. Steel Coaster east of the on the eastern side of the U.S. It is not in Florida. It is not in Virginia. It is not Superman the Ride. It is not at Magic Mountain. It does not have inversions. It's not Wild Mouse at Dorney, but it is in Ohio. So far we have Ohio Steel Coaster. Yeah, that's about it. Ohio Steel Coaster with no inversions. It's not Wildcat's Revenge. It is not Banshee. It is not in Maryland. It's not at... It is at Kings Island. So yes, it is at Kings Island. It is not Orion. It was built after 2000. So we have a Steel Coaster at Kings Island built after 2000 with no inversions. It's not Adventure Express. It's not Cedar Point. It's not Diamondback. It is not Bat. It's not Diamondback. It is not Orion. Not Woodstock Express. Alright, Philip got it just barely in terms of where I saw it ahead of Jace and Coaster Evan. It is indeed Backlot Stunt Coaster. So, Backlot Stunt Coaster is the answer. So let me get Philip on the scoreboard. Alright, so there we go there. And we'll move on to our next one. I need to get it. Come on. Give me something. Okay, alright, I have my next one. Guess away. It is not Nessie. It is not Red. It is in the USA. It is not Goliath. It is not in Europe, so it is a US coaster. Is it an invert? No, it is not an invert. Well, so, I guess I'll say this coaster did get relocated at points, and at one point it did operate east of the Mississippi River. So technically, yes. It is not Twisted Colossus. It is not Under the Track. It's not Ghost Rider. But at one point, it did operate east of the Mississippi. It is not operating still, so it is defunct. We are talking about a defunct coaster in the U.S. that has been relocated at points. It is not a boomerang. So, not a boomerang. It never operated in Florida, so was not in Florida. It was never in Ohio, so not in Ohio. It is not Z-Force. Not Z-Force. It never was in Pennsylvania, so no. Let's see. It is not a Togo. So what do we have? We have US. It is steel. So we have US Steel Coaster that has been relocated. At one point was east on the eastern side of the US, but it's defunct. Well, it never operated in New York, but it did end up there eventually. It is not Medusa Steel. It never, yeah, this one I may have complicated things by going with the relocation stuff, but, yeah, this is going to be interesting. It never operated in Virginia. It's not Steeplechase. Never operated in North Carolina. It is not a shuttle loop. So, boy, this one, yeah, it's a little tricky. Never operated in Massachusetts, so no. It did not operate out Illinois. Not quite SBNO. It's not there. It's not SBNO anymore. It gone. It was in storage in New York for a little bit. Does it have a loop and 2 corkscrews? No, well, it doesn't have 2 corkscrews, but it does have a loop, and that is the one version it has, so I'll give you that. It never operated at Dollywood. It's assumedly got scrapped. Is it one of those weird coasters in the middle of nowhere? No, this operated at parks that you definitely have heard of and been to in most cases. It never operated in Indiana. It did operate in New Jersey. Yes, it did operate in New Jersey at one point. So, yep, New Jersey is one of the states where this coaster was once located in. It's not a Schwarzkopf. Yep, this one is a tricky one. Yep, at Great Adventure, it did operate at Great Adventure. So, not at Maury's, just Great Adventure. So, let's see if that helps. Maybe not. It's not Great American Scream Machine. And it's not the interlocking shuttle loops. Yeah, this one is a tricky one. It's not lightning loops. Because, I mean, that's basically what Coaster Ribbons gets, so it was not. It is not Viper. Nope. So we have a coaster that is defunct, that's been relocated, that a few times, that once operated at Six Flags Great Adventure. Well, hold up. So I can't quite give you it, Aiden, but this coaster did at one point have a Batman theme. It wasn't quite like Batman the Ride, that wasn't the name of it, but it did have a Batman name at one point. So I will give you partial credit for that. Might even be good enough. It's not Jumbo Jet. It's not an Arrow. It was in California at one point. It is an Intamin, or was an Intamin. That was at Magic Mountain. Yep. It's not Batman and Robin the Chiller. It's not Dark Knight. It is a stand-up. Yep. You've danced all around it, just haven't quite gotten the name. It went under multiple names. I'll just take whichever comes first. Not Batmobile, not Batwing. It was not themed to the Riddler. Okay, so the Batman name and theme, it did have it. It did not have it when it was at Magic Mountain or Great Adventure. I should mention that. It had it when it was somewhere else. Yeah, I think the relocation thing really threw people off. It's not Batman Night Flight. It's not Ultra Twister. Holy. But, like, how do I recap this? It's a defunct Intamin stand-up coaster that operated at Magic Mountain and Great Adventure, and ended up in New York, but never actually operated there. It's not Cobra. Wow, this one I guess was too obscure. Philip got it. It is Shockwave. It was called Batman the Escape at Astro World, so that's the other. That's why I said it at one point had a Batman theme and name. But yeah, that is correct. It is Shockwave. Although wait, my bad. Stamford Bridge got it first for me on my chat, so actually Stamford Bridge got it. My bad. So yep. That is the correct answer. It is Shockwave at Magic Mountain, which also was Shockwave at Great Adventure, Batman the Escape at Astro World, and then ended up at Six Flags Darien Lake, where it sat around for a few years. Actually like 11 years, and eventually got scrapped. There you go. Yep. I'll give you some props, Aiden. You kind of were wrong. You kind of were right. Basically. Let's see. Now I need to get another one. My goodness. Okay, I have my next one. Guarantee that this one will be easier than the last one. In Stamford Bridge, you rode this? Dang, that is... Was it any good? Alright, but... in all seriousness, we'll head into our next one. This coaster is not brown. Not really color scheme wise or anything. It is not. It is not in the US, but it is in Europe. So we do have a European coaster. Our first international coaster of the day. So it wasn't bad. All right. Good to hear. It is not in Germany, but it is in Sweden. So we have a Swedish coaster. That's like basically it. It is not in Poland. So we have a coaster in Sweden. It is not Wildfire. It is at Leesburg. So we have a roller coaster at Leesburg. Leesburg Bannon. That is so funny. I have not, I mean, yeah. It does sound like that. That is so funny. Vekoma. No, it is not a Gronolund. It's not Dog Park Coaster. That's in Denmark. It is Helix. So Philip got it right. It is Helix at Leesburg. Lesbian Banana. That is a new one. In terms of how to say Leesburg Bannon. That's a good one. Philip got that one right, so that is the second point. All right. Next, we'll move on to our next coaster. Once I find it. Where? Oh, I did get it. Okay, that was actually pretty quick. There we go. All right, I do have my next coaster. Guess away. Can't be Balder. Yeah, it could not have been Balder. So there you go. USA. It is. It is in the US. It is not Medusa Steel Coaster. And it is not in Europe, so we have a US coaster. It is not Goliath. It is not east of the Mississippi. It is not Medusa. It is not Batman. Nor Batman. And it's not Batman themed either. It is not in California, but it does have inversions, and it is in Texas. So we have a U.S. coaster west of the Mississippi River. Well, I guess a U.S. coaster in Texas with inversions. It is not Corkscrew. It is not Wonder Woman. It's not Poltergeist. It's not at Fiesta, Texas. It is not Great White, and it is not Mr. Freeze. But Philip got it right. It is indeed Shockwave. So, man, got it right ahead of Stamford Bridge. So that is the correct answer, Shockwave. And we'll move on to our next one. And wow, we got that one quick. All right. All right. So next coaster. Yeah, Philip, you are on a roll. It is not, no, it is, I was gonna say maybe the trains, but no, the coaster is not yellow, not really in any way. It is not in the US, so we have, and it is in Europe, so we do have another European coaster. It is a sit-down, yes, so we have a European sit-down coaster. Definitely narrows it down so much. It is not in Germany, it is not in SC, it is not in Italy, so it's none of those. It is not in the UK, so it's still only a European sit-down coaster. It is not in Poland. It's not in France. It's not in Denmark. It's not Two Tooties. It is not in France. It is not in Sweden. It is not in Norway. It's not in Belgium. It is not Netherlands. It is not Dog Park Coaster. It is not in Belgium. It is in Finland, though. Yes, this coaster is in Finland. So we have a European sit-down coaster in Finland. It's not Zadra. It's not Tornado. It is not in France. So European sit-down coaster. And Stamford Bridge got it right. It is indeed Taiga at Linnanmäki. So Stamford Bridge, second point, as we head into our final round. Oh my god. I can't do it. I don't think I'm gonna go with that one. But should I? You know what? Yeah, whatever. I'll do it. Alright, we have our next coaster. It's not actually that much of a meme one. It's just Yeah, I'll explain it later. It is not Daddy Pig's roller coaster, but it is in the US. It is not Dog Fart Coaster. It is not in Europe. It's not Goliath. It's not Bisbee's Spiral Airship. It's not Steel Vengeance. It's not Lil Phantom. It's not Batman. So far we only have US coaster. It's really not that much of a meme one or one that's like actually talked about that much, but I'll just kind of explain at the end what the deal with this one is for me. It is east of the Mississippi River, so it's eastern side of US. It's not Good Gravy. It's not Cosmos Curves. It's not Furious Baco, which I know is what my brother's trying to say there. It is not in Florida. It's not Grover's. It's not in Ohio. So far, we have U.S. coaster on the eastern side of the U.S. It's not Super Grover's. It's not defunct. It still exists. It is not in Pennsylvania. It is not wooden. It is not at Carowinds. So we have an operating steel coaster on the eastern side of the U.S., and it is not at a chain park. This is an independent park, so it is a U.S. steel coaster on the eastern side of the U.S. at an independent park. It is not in Virginia. It's not. It's not Ice Mountain Bobsled. It is not Rudy's Rapid Transit or anything related to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It is not in New York. It is not Thunderbird. It was not built after 2010. It is not Jackrabbit. So, it is not in Indiana. So, this one is tricky. So I'll try to run through. It is not Rorosaurus. So once again, it's a steel coaster, still operating, was built before 2010 at a small, I guess I didn't say, at an independent park, I can't even remember what else. But basically those things. It's not in the New England region. It is not in New Jersey. It's not in Georgia. It's not Excalibur. It's not Polar Coaster. It's not Gale Force. This one, it's not an easy one, so that's kind of why I didn't, but I was like, we'll go for it. It's not X Coaster at Magic Springs. It's not in Alabama. It is not Go Bananas. So the state has still yet to be guessed. It is not in Illinois. It's not Swamp Fox. The state definitely does not border the Atlantic, so no. It's not on the coast. It's not an East Coast state. But it is eastern side. It is not in Indiana. And it's not over 50 feet tall. It's not. It is not in Michigan. It is not in Wisconsin. Yep, this one is... I don't think I should have done this one, but oh well, we're here now. I guess it's the final round. Tennessee. It is not in Tennessee, so nope, not in Tennessee. Is it in the middle of nowhere? Yes, this coaster is in the middle of this coaster in this park is in the middle of nowhere, and it is in Kentucky. So yes, it is in Kentucky. It is not Steel Lasso. It is not Diamondback. It is not in West Virginia, but it is in Kentucky. It is not Kentucky Rumbler because that is a wooden coaster. But Civilian Satellite got it. It is Wild Mouse at Beach Bend. The reason I was like kind of laughing and questioning why I should pick it is because if you haven't ridden it recently, it does not run very well. It does not spin hardly at all, and I got the supposed best spinning car, and it does not spin hardly at all, and it's very janky. Yeah, that ride is, I don't know how many people here in the chat have ridden Wild Mouse at Beach Bend recently, but yeah, it's something right now. I really like Kentucky Rumbler, I'll say that, but yeah, it would just it was very, yeah. You rode it, but not that recently. Was it like the same thing? Was it like was it about how I described it? Because that's kind of what it was. It's just I thought it was, I still thought it wasn't like, some people thought it made it out to be horrible. It wasn't like that horribly rough, but it was just kind of like very like, wow, it's just not where it could be. Especially like Sidewinder Safari was quite a bit better than it, but it's fine. It's just yeah, it just was kind of odd as far as spinning Wild Mouse coasters go. So Stanford Bridge is our no, my bad. Philip is our winner for this one. So let me get that ready. Stanford Bridge won the last one, so that's why I got confused for a second. But Philip is our winner for Guess the Coaster. Also see you, Jace. Thanks for stopping by. And we're gonna move on now to our final Q&A. Congrats to Philip for winning Guess the Coaster, and thanks to everyone who played. We're gonna move into our final Q&A. Probably go. We'll see how many questions we get, and that'll kind of determine the absolute longest I want to do. This is like 5:40 EST, but we'll see. So final Q&A, you can ask me about anything, about news stuff, or the Orlando trip, or really, I guess just anything. Final Q&A. Ask away. Doesn't even have to be theme park industry related, which I keep forgetting to mention, but every once in a while when we get other questions, it's like, all right, nice to see it. Even though this is mostly, you know, a coaster focused stream, but just will mention that. But alrighty, let's see what we got. I think I'll just reiterate some things that I mentioned earlier for those who were not here earlier. I do plan on doing a stream for after IAPA takes place. That's actually why I got this stream out, was just so I wouldn't be hopefully too overloaded with news with all this stuff that we'll probably get from IAPA. But I already see some questions coming in, all right. But I'll be doing that. That'll probably be in close to 2 weeks. I also have written a few articles on Coaster 101. So I wrote an article on Midnight Flyer and Visa Coasters. So if you go on Coaster 101's website, you can check that out. That's something I've been working on. And just wanted to mention those things real quick. So yep, those are the things that I've been kind of working on or are coming in the future. School going well. Yep. Doing good with grades. Transition hasn't been too rough up to this point. It's a little bit of an adjustment, quite a bit of one actually, to go back into full in-person classes, but it's been pretty good. So just went to my first game literally a week ago, Fresno State versus UNLV, and that was fun. So yeah, it's going pretty well. so far. So, thanks for asking. Favorite horror film? Don't think you've ever asked. Honestly, I probably haven't seen enough to have a good opinion on that. Um, definitely not Five Nights at Freddy's. But anyways, if anyone wants to dive any further into that, you can ask me about it. But favorite horror film? I haven't seen that many is the problem, so it's very tricky for me to choose. I need to watch more good ones. Because off the top of my head, I can't. There's not really one that jumps out as like much better than the rest. Yeah, I was not. That was not a question I was prepared for, honestly. Yeah, I'll have to get back to that one because like there's some that we've watched recently, but it's like that are kind of bad. But some of them I hadn't like seen the whole thing, just like part of it. We've seen some pretty interesting ones. We've watched a bunch of interesting ones beforehand, like just. I mean, not that they're good, but there's a lot of people know of a movie called Cocaine Bear that released this year. Well, we didn't actually watch that, but we watched the movie that basically, if Cocaine Bear was done in like what the 70s, it was a movie called Prophecy that was just absolutely insane with this crazy bear monster. Yeah, that one was memorable. It wasn't a good film, but it went pretty crazy at the end. So, and it was just pretty funny. So, that is not my favorite one, but I'll just mention that as like kind of a funny one. For sure. I haven't seen The Shining. I mean, Psycho's a classic, if you want to consider that. Watched that one within the last year when in one of my classes. So, you know, that one's obviously classic and good. We watched Trick or Treat recently, like the 2000s one. That was like a pretty solid one. What other ones? Tales from the Hood was pretty good. That was another one we've been watching on Prime. We've been watching like a lot of like kind of ones that don't have like the best reputation. Some actually are kind of decent and others are just not that good. Or like they're not good but they're like funny. But like older movies, like we watched Critters and like this stuff and like some really weird obscure ones, but I'll just kind of throw all those out there as somewhat of recommendations. But yeah. Any desire to visit Camden Park someday? I've been in West Virginia, which makes it even more painful that I didn't go then. It's very low on the bucket list, but you know, theoretically it would be cool to visit. It is a place though that if for whatever reason it like, I don't know how well it's doing nowadays. So if it's someplace that it kind of, you know, ended up closing in like the next few to several years, it's not somewhere that I would like drop everything and make a trip out for, but it would be cool to visit. I would be curious to check it out. I don't want to talk about the Falcons right now. The thing is, yeah, like we've outperformed what we should be doing, I suppose, but I don't really like where our quarterback situation is at. And there's just been very questionable things from the head coach side of things, unfortunately. So it's one of those things where I kind of would rather have the Falcons kind of bottom out and like get a high draft pick, and they're just kind of not doing that, and they might even make the playoffs at this point. And they actually stand a pretty good chance to, especially if Taylor Heineke ends up righting the ship, which I hope he does. Ritter has very much struggled, and I think Heineke seems to be the better guy, but we'll see if the coaching staff actually thinks that. I think riding with him would be the better move at this point. What's my major? I am mass communication and journalism, specifically going into advertising and public relations. I did my first 2 years of community college, the last 2 years, and mostly did just general education. But now I'm actually doing like more of the MCJ classes. So that is the major that I have. Midnight Flyer is scheduled to open next year. They didn't give a super specific timeline, just said 2024. So Camden Park is a dumpster fire. I've heard it's pretty weird. But I've heard it's like funny to visit. So it's, and they have some cool rides. So like some of their rides are really interesting. So I do want to check it out. Very old style park though. And I've heard some interesting reviews on it. It definitely, I mean, they're bringing ground on an RV park and campground, so it's like, will the theme park actually happen? I think it gives me a little more confidence. I'm still like, I need to see the actual theme park itself, like do groundbreaking and things to look a little more like legit there with like actual manufacturers being committed and whatnot. To the project for me to have a lot of confidence in it. But if those things start to happen, like they actually get into contracts with manufacturers and they break ground and whatnot, I'll feel pretty confident that it'll actually happen. But I'm still very wait and see, but I'm a little more optimistic than I was. But I still would probably slightly bet against it happening. But I would love to be wrong there. Nightmare on Elm Street, I have not seen that. Shining, have not seen that. But definitely some really good ones in terms of highly reputable. There aren't many U.S. parks left that you haven't visited, but Camden Park is one of them. Ooh, I did not know. Yeah, that probably is why so few people have visited. I did not know their hours were really tight, but I guess kind of makes sense. And location-wise, it's not very close to anything else. Airtime in the back of Big Dipper is insane. Their whip is the fastest you've been on. Okay. All right. Note to do the whip there when I go there if I do. Yeah, I do. I mean, pretty much. Technically, I have worked in the amusement industry because I worked at Wild Waters during the summer. So technically, I already completed that goal. But I do hope, with having gone to the SkyNext event and making a lot of connections, I do hope that I am able to get a job that, applies to my major, advertising or public relations, director of communications type of position for a theme park, even though that sort of thing can apply to a lot of different sort of industries. So that is the hope there. The Thing. Oh yeah, we were gonna watch that, but I had other plans. So, we'll probably watch that in the near future. There, my brother really likes this movie. And I have yet to see it. Let's see. Camden Park reminded you of Conneaut. Yeah, I could kind of see it. I like how. I don't know that I don't think if you've done a video on Camden Park, I probably haven't seen it yet. I will now. I'm very curious now that that it's like comedic in terms of like how it is. Conneaut Lake was a trip to be sure. Yeah, those parks were Conneaut Lake Park was interesting, and Camden at least still is around. Thank you, Frontier Coasters, for coming in. Yeah, end of the stream, but thank you for making the coaster hangman. Was really fun. In doing that, everyone enjoyed it, so much appreciated, and much appreciate you coming into the stream. So yeah, just doing final Q&A. Probably will wrap it up in the next like 5 minutes, pretty much, but any other questions will be, I'll answer now. What do I think the new flagship park of the new merger will be? Gosh, yeah, that's like kind of the other thing with this, like, there probably still will be parks that are kind of raised, and then others that are like, you know, just kind of neglected. And hopefully that was one of the other things I was concerned about. Don't know if I mentioned it, but I was concerned that the neglected parks would be even more neglected with something like this. The new flagship in this chain. I think Great Adventure has like a lot of potential. I feel like, and it's been, I think, like, kind of, it's been sort of a dream that like Cedar Fair would maybe take it over at some point for a lot of people. So that one, I'm very intrigued where it goes. Cedar Point is still Cedar Point. Like, that park's still gonna get its dues. I think Kings Island will continue to be definitely a headliner of the bunch. And I mean, Carowinds, I think also, I mean, considering the headquarters is going to be in Charlotte, because I think it's been said that Cedar Fair would relocate there. I forget if they actually have already or not, but I think Carowinds will be treated well also. I think those will kind of, if I had to guess like the big four, I think those would be it. Great Adventure, Six Flags Great Adventure, Six Flags Great America also actually probably would be another one that could have a lot of potential too. So yeah. Caught a slow motion video of the rear axle of the last car in Big Dipper legitimately coming off the track. I think I have seen footage of that. That's pretty janky. For sure. Where does Velocicoaster rank for me? I have it ranked at as my number 4 overall coaster. One of the best coasters I've ever ridden, and it is worth the hype for sure. Went over my thoughts about it like earlier in this stream and in the previous stream, but so if you want to see that, you can check that out. But an amazing coaster, like about the best package of theming, presentation, and quality ride layout and ride experience, pretty much that you can get anywhere, or at least that I have done. Weird to think that Magic Mountain and Cedar Point are now out. Yeah, that's like super strange. Yeah, there's a comment on the Coaster Studios video saying that Cedar Point fanboys and Magic Mountain fanboys are now stepbrothers. Yeah, that's kind of what it's like. There's still rivalries within chain though. I mean, Magic Mountain Great Adventure fans feel like there's been a pretty significant rivalry there, despite the fact that they're owned by the same chain. With this merger, Frontier City is still the smallest park in the chain. I will say, if we are on the topic of discussing which possible parks that could be let go with this merger happening, for one, I think it's very possible the Great America timeline in terms of how long it's open could be sped up in terms of like how quickly it closes. Mentioned that earlier. And then Six Flags doesn't actually like truly own Darien Lake and Frontier City. Darien Lake has had a lot of issues and struggles, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's a park they let go. And Frontier City is kind of a weird one also, and I think Hershen's had some interest to acquire it. So I do think this could be a very, and now you just say it, yeah, you really want Hershen to take over. I think there's a very good opportunity potentially, you know, if there's like a few parks they want to shrink just a little bit, because, you know, the amount of parks that they're going to have to operate is just a ridiculous amount. I think Frontier City could be one that stands to benefit, especially if Hershen is like still interested in acquiring it. Schlitterbahn has certainly been having a trip in recent years. has it been like good or bad? I'm not really up to speed on like the water park side of things in terms of how that's been doing. So I wouldn't know much about that. Perhaps maybe some of the water parks also would be ones they'd look to move off of, but I would not know there. Yeah, Jackson just comes in. I was saying earlier that like Railblazer, it would be pretty much perfect at Discovery Kingdom. So if they do relocate it, I think that's where it goes. I'd be very surprised if they don't relocate it to Discovery Kingdom. It just makes so much sense because it fits within the for a park that has so little space to work with, and has the height restriction. Railblazer like fits both the criteria there. It would be different enough from what they already have. And I mean, it's a really good ride, so I definitely could see them moving it to Discovery Kingdom. I'd honestly be surprised at this point, if that didn't happen. It just feels like it's too perfect, of an opportunity to bring a new coaster on the cheap, to Discovery Kingdom. So, definitely I definitely think there's a good chance it'll happen. Yeah, that's the kind of like the whole teaser map thing with the map. We'll see. Like I said, I think if Six Flags, they need to loosen some parks or get rid of some, Frontier City would be one, and I think that and Herschend would be a really good fit. So, yep. Let's see. It just went from family owned to Cedar Fair now to Six Flags. Yeah, that is pretty crazy. On the other hand, if the chain stabilizes and feels safe, they may buy new parks. I could see them buying up Elitch Gardens pretty cheap. Denver is a huge city with very little. Ooh, but I mean, at some point, that one's a little... Elitch is tricky because it's going to eventually have to relocate, you would think, unless the project dies, which I know has been delayed. I don't know if they would want to have to deal with that, but you are right. Denver is a huge area with like pretty much hardly anything else like competing, so you never know. It could even be a situation too where it's like maybe there are some parks that they're just like, you know what, we don't need these, and maybe they're like, we'll get some other ones. But you never know. I would doubt that, but you never know. Honestly, you think Patriot would be a perfect fit at Darien Lake? Don't know if that coaster would get relocated, but I guess, yeah, you could put it there. You would love for Six Flags to take over the Elitch project. Yeah, that would be definitely nice. I think that would have a lot of potential. Yeah, Patriot, Great America. I'm aware. Phoenix is huge with very little also. They are getting Mattel Adventure Park, but Six Flags and Cedar Fair have never really been into building up new parks, so I don't really see that changing. So, at least Elitch is like, they're acquiring something that exists. Or like, even though there's like, they're relocating it, there's probably like kind of plans in place already, so they'd kind of just be overseeing it. It wouldn't really be a true build a park from the ground up sort of situation. So, I think, yep, went a little past the time I said, but some good questions, and that'll about wrap it up. Thanks to everyone who came into the stream. It was fun to have you all. Huge thanks to Civilian Satellite, Sanford Bridge, and Michael for donating. Really much appreciated there. I just saw one question did come in, so I actually will answer this. Do you think Hershey, like as in Hershey Park, could go back to acquiring parks to compete again? I know there was like the rumor that they were like one of the companies interested in Marineland. I don't really think that's something they're looking to do, so I'm going to sell that. But they were brought up as a rumored company for Marineland, which was somewhat interesting. So you never know, but I would assume not. But if you're talking Hershend and it was like a typo, yeah, I mean they were interested as recently as like kind of last year, so they could definitely get back on track there. But yeah, alrighty. But I think that'll pretty much wrap it up. Thanks everyone for watching, and it was fun to have you all. And that'll pretty much just wrap it up. So I'll see you all next time here on Coaster Hour. See you all.